I'm in a lake, doing my long run for 2.5 hours, and you kind of were
Right.
like, what the, but that's the stuff that you just, if you want something bad enough, you figure out a way to get it done. And roadblocks are not really in my mindset.
Right.
So if that's what it takes to put on my little aqua jogger belt and go out in the quarry and do loops, then that's what it takes.
Hi, Mike Ritchie here from D3 Multisport Triathlon Coaching. Today on our Trust the Process podcast, we're talking with athlete Cathy Casey. Cathy started racing in the late 90s. Qualifying for Kona was a long time goal. She changed up her schedule this year and jumped into Ironman Texas and claimed her slot to Kona. We're so happy for Cathy. Her lead up to Kona, it wasn't a great one with an Achilles issue. She had to change her run training, alter G, deep water running with the running belt, and just a bulletproof mindset that just said, I'm going to get this done. And she is just a woman of action, and I'd love to see her success. She did great in Kona. She finished the race. It was the first time she had run on pavement in weeks, and just a great interview, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Coach Mike Ritchie here with Cathy Casey, fresh off her Ironman Hawaii finish. And we're going to have a little chit chat today and see about the lead up into Kona, the race itself, and just get to know Cathy a little bit better. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Feeling relaxed and recovered after a couple of vacation days after the race. But yeah, I feel really good actually.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell me a little bit about, before we get into the race, like tell me how long you've been racing triathlons. It's been a while, right?
A very long time. I started in the late 90s with just a very local race, just kind of one of my hometown races. And I just really liked it. It was just a way, just right after college, that I could feel healthy doing all three sports. And I just fell in love with it. It was me and my husband out there in a freezing cold lake in Southern Illinois with our mountain bikes, just really just exploring the sport. And then we fell in love with it. So
That's awesome. So you had a swim or run background, is that right?
I had a swim run background. I
Yeah.
started swimming when I was 5 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I transitioned when I figured out that I was about a foot smaller than every other swimmer in the pool. I switched over to running in high school. So kind
Awesome. And
of,
did you run or swim in college?
I ran in college.
Oh, wow.
I ran at the University of Texas. I was a middle distance runner. So
Wow.
kind
Awesome.
of just enjoyed that, and where I could use my swim as my cross training
Yeah. Recovery.
when I felt like it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Did the coach ever look down on that, or that was all okay?
Yeah, I was one of the few runners who actually liked to be in the pool, so I knew that's maybe how my triathlon journey started.
Yeah.
Is I
Yeah.
like both of them just equal. So,
That's awesome. Do
but
you have a
no,
favorite?
I was, I think swimming is such a good recovery, so it was something I
Yeah.
could do in the afternoon to get more work in. So,
Yeah. No, I
that's
think it's
always
great.
used as a tool.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's,
Yeah.
great, especially after long runs on Sundays or Saturdays, whatever day you do the long run. Just flush the legs out. A simple, easy,
Oh yeah.
30,
It's just so relaxing too, and you
45
recover
minutes.
so much quicker when you put a swim after a long run. It's just
Right.
perfect.
So when you started triathlon, obviously you had an advantage in the swim, right? Because you've been swimming a while and the run
Uh-huh.
was obviously good. Did you ever feel like you had to really work on them, or do you feel like they were really solid right from the start?
I think single sports are a little bit different. I had to get the feel of what your legs felt like after biking and stuff, figuring out the run and getting my strength up, because I was a more middle distance mindset where I wasn't going to run anything over 3 3/4 lap around a track. You couldn't pay me to run a 5K in college. But then afterwards, I just kind of started exploring the longer distance stuff, which I think kind of helped me get that mindset of, putting them all together and having it be a real long distance event. So,
Awesome. Awesome. And now, I would say, we've been working together since last August. I would say most races you have, one of the best run splits in your age group, no matter the distance. So
yeah.
that's
No,
definitely,
I love to get out on the run and just figure out what I can do. So I kind of use that as my secret weapon. So it's
yep,
kind of a fun thing to figure out just how far I can bike so I can still run to my ability. So
that's awesome. So, you just did Kona, but that was kind of not really the plan this year, right? The plan was some 70.3s, and then all of a sudden you had this, spur in your side that you wanted to do Ironman Texas. Tell me how that came about.
yeah. Well, since I started back doing Ironmans a long time ago, it has been my goal, my number one goal, to qualify for Kona. So
Uh-huh.
I'm a very goal oriented person, and I like to be the best version of me I can be. So I just got to thinking that, we were out at a happy hour with my husband, and we're just looking through results, as you do at happy hour, you look at triathlon results. And I was thinking, what, I can do this. Like, I don't know what my problem is, and I can do that. And I think pretty much the next day I messaged you and it's
Yeah.
like, is there a way we can switch the plan up? And because I got stuck in a routine, I would do my early season as my rust buster. Then I would do a couple more 70.3s and always do a late season Ironman. So why was I stuck in that routine? What was stopping me from, now that I have changed jobs after, from, I'm no longer an NCAA coach, but um, I had that availability. I'm like, what is stopping me? This race is 2 hours from my house, and let's do it. And so it was kind of halfway through the training cycle. We switched it up. And I had forgotten, because I hadn't done an full Ironman since 2019 or something, just how much the work was for that.
Yeah.
But I think we adapted really well, and I felt really good going into it. So it was a very good happy hour to figure out how
I
to
thought
switch
there
up
was a
the
happy
plan.
hour involved in that. Um, I've gotten a few texts and emails a day after those kind of things. It's how that works. But that's great. So yeah, you were an NCAA coach. How long were you coaching for?
I coached at Southern Methodist University in Dallas for 18 years. So
Wow.
I was started off as a volunteer, and then became a head cross country coach, and then the director of the whole program. So
Wow. That's
kind of a cool progression there. So
yeah, that's a big time program. It's not like
yeah,
like a
yeah, we
little
had we had
D3
some good
school.
success. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
yeah,
so do you stay in touch with a lot of your runners still and have good contact with some of them?
I do. I
Yeah.
do. And they are just so awesome, because one of my runners, they were, posting when after I went to Kona, like, she trained us through all these Ironmans. We won championships, and you can do it. And they are just my inspiration. So
Yeah.
I love being a coach, and then also seeing my athletes get so much joy from it. Just seeing their coach out there, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not as fast as them, but it still get
Right. But
motivation from
you,
them.
you get what you give back, right? That's
Exactly.
the fun part
Exactly.
about being the coach. That's awesome. And so then, so was Texas your best Ironman to date? Was that the best race you've had?
It was the best race that I put together in a full race.
Full,
I've had good
yeah,
runs, I've had, good swims or
sure.
whatever, but that one was hands down the most complete race and the strongest I've ever felt.
Good.
I felt like I could run like myself off the bike, and that was just attributed to all those really long brick workouts you gave me
Hmm.
that I
Hmm.
think felt completely impossible when I first looked at them. And then it's just, as you progress, you just trust the process, and you're
Right.
like, no, each week I'm going to be able to do this. And I just had to trust you as a coach and be like, okay, this isn't crazy. He knows I can do this. And I just kept going at it. And then when I got there, it wasn't so hard, I guess. It's always hard,
Right.
but I had done those hours, I had put in the work. So when I got there, it wasn't that unfamiliar, that feeling, to be able to run off the bike and do the things that I had done week in and week out, leading up to it. So
Right. Good. Yeah. It's just, it's some of that, just repeatability of doing that week after week. And obviously it's mentally hard saying, okay, I'm going to get off and run an hour. I'm going to get off and run 90 minutes or,
yeah,
some of the things. And I think we were kind of up against it a little bit going into the race when you kind of, we changed plans and all that. And, I'm always going to say, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
yeah,
In the back of my head, I'm kind of like, okay, let's just see how this goes, but
yeah,
let's see how the first few long workouts go. But you're so mentally tough. I mean, that's never been a problem. And you are someone who sits on the bike for hours on the trainer and you don't have an issue with it.
yeah.
And that's, I don't know a lot of people that can do
I
that.
think
So
I'm crazy that way. So I just find it very relaxing.
I think it's
So
dedicated. I don't
it's
think
been,
it's
I think,
crazy.
as when I was a coach, everything in my life was very crazy, with travel, with,
Yeah, true.
everything. And then training for Ironman was my time, and it was just like my happy place to be, long time in the pool, long time on the bike, whatever. It was
Right,
just my time for me, which is just kind of why I just love the sport so much.
right, right. So, got through Texas,
Hmm.
then you got a little injury going into Hawaii, a little Achilles
Yep.
thing going on. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about, obviously it wasn't traditional run training, but you did something else to kind of help you talk about that a little bit in terms of just,
Yeah,
how
so
you
I
improve.
think it kind of just stems back from, being a college coach, and we had a very small team, and I figured out, like, being around elite athletes, there's a way to get it done, especially when you have that elite mindset. You have to figure out as a coach how to figure like what can be done. And I say can in all caps because there's always a solution to something. And I think when you look at it, you try to get the best team of people around you to tell you how something can be done, and something in a productive way, not a maladaptive way, something that's
Right.
productive. How do I do this? And so what are my tools that I have available? And I think just being out there, I understood all the different ways I could get this. There's a coach, NCAA runner up, who was in the pool right up until we put her out there on the track. I know it can be done, and I know how hard. It's not fun. It's not fun. I
Right.
think I texted you and I said I'm in a lake, doing my long run for 2.5 hours, and you kind of were
Right.
like, what the, but that's the stuff that you just, if you want something bad enough, you figure out a way to get it done. And roadblocks are not really in my mindset.
Right.
So if that's what it takes to put on my little aqua jogger belt and go out in the quarry and do loops, then that's what it takes.
Right.
However, I was happy when I found an iPod in my drawer that I could listen to music after a while, because that was pretty bad. But you have great tools like Alter G treadmill. You have
Mhm.
aqua jogging. You have, in triathlon, the sport in and of itself, I could spend more time in the pool, or, getting my bike in. So, where there's a will, there's a way. And when I really have my mind set on something, I'm going to go to all the people who can tell me what I can do and how to figure that out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's interesting. I've coached different sports and with youth sports, and obviously triathlon be my profession. I'm coaching my profession. I've always had people say I can't do this, and I'm like, well, I don't really care about what you can't do. Like, tell me what you can do, and we'll work
Yeah.
from there, right? Like that's always the key, and that's just that positive mindset. But your positive mindset is exceptional, and I admire that about you 100%. It's
Thank you.
amazing that you never had a bad email. You never said like, F this, I hate it, da da da. And I'm sure you hated it. I'm sure that was in your head, but
Yeah, it wasn't fun. And
right.
after the doctor had told me, okay, no more running on ground, I might have had a little bit of a bad day.
Yeah, of course, of
But
course.
you give yourself 24 hours and you're like, okay, suck it up, let's go. And it's just
Yep.
like racing out there, where it goes up and down. Either you can wallow in it, or you can figure out how to get it done. And that's the beauty of being an athlete. I just think that that's the fun part of it. It shows who what you really can do. So
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. Agree. Um, so yeah, I think that's, like I've said, that's just a huge tool in your toolbox that you use, and that's totally to your advantage.
yeah, thank you.
So you went into Kona, you got there, you did your first run outside in a while, right?
Yeah,
Super, super
the
hot and
Tuesday before
humid.
the race. So there you go.
Yep. So tell me how, did you do the swim on the Sunday before the race?
I didn't. I got there on Monday, and
Okay.
then I did the swim, the coffee boat swim, and
Yep.
tested out the water. I'm pretty comfortable in open water, so
Yep.
I just thought it was the most amazing swim you could
Yes.
possibly do.
Yes.
So the clear water, you could see the fish and the whole thing.
It's like swimming in an aquarium. That's what I always say.
It was amazing. I loved it. So yeah, I was excited about the swim.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me, just, yeah, take us through the Ironman, take us through the day, and how it all went.
Well, I think the lead up, it's just something, I said, even as a little girl, I was watching this race on TV, and just, it's just something that I could just never imagine myself being there, but also could imagine myself. So when I got there, it was almost like pinching yourself. Is this real? I mean, just the lead up, all the stuff they have for athletes all week long. And I know you had said, like, take advantage of, as much stuff as you can, but also rest. So it was, the running down the street in your underwear, or you were doing the coffee boat swim. You were listening to like the pros, the top people in the sport talk
Yeah.
about everything. And there was so much, you just wish you could keep going back and listening to it. But I think the lead up, the walking in, the racking your bike, the whole thing was seriously a dream come true. And then, I knew I wasn't 100%, and I can't lie to myself at that,
Right.
where you just got to go with it,
Be
and whatever that
realistic.
day
Yeah.
was going to give me. But you had told me to have fun, and my family, have fun out there. This is your chance just to really enjoy all that hard work that you put into it.
Right. For a
And I
year.
think it was a combo of putting in all the hard work, because honestly, I don't know if I've ever worked so hard leading up into an Ironman before. All the hours on the Alter G, all
Yeah.
the bikes. I don't know how many 6 plus hour bikes I did. Um, but I think all that allowed me to have fun and enjoy it. And, I was out there, doing the, hang ten, shaka
Osaka,
symbol.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was doing everything like high-fiving people. I think that someone's playing Sweet Caroline down in the energy lab, and I might have done a little, number out there, and I just wanted to have fun. Like, this was just something that I knew probably was going to be really a hard day for me,
Yeah.
but I did the best I could. I went out there and gave it 100% effort. Wasn't my fastest time of my life, but it didn't matter because I know I crossed the line, and that's what I had to give on that day. And I had a blast doing it. It was the hardest, most epic, fun thing I've ever done. The wind somehow between mile 80 and 98 slowed my bike down nearly to a halt, but it was, I was still smiling. I mean, you look to the right and you have this gorgeous ocean, you have lava fields. It
Yeah.
was it was awesome.
That's awesome. So, swim was, I mean, I think you went the last wave, right? The way they had set it up.
Yeah,
So,
it was the last wave.
and so you had a lot of people to pass, I'm sure, in front of you, and you're probably passing people the entire swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Was
very
it,
congested swim because most people there are all about the same speed.
yep,
So you really just have to learn how to navigate, find your holes, swim
yep,
as straight a line as you can.
right.
And yeah, it was better on the going out. And then once you turned, then you started swimming through people. So that was made the second half a little more challenging. But
Just to back up with people.
yeah, it was a very congested swim, but I think that I learned a lot from Ironman Texas. That also was a pretty congested swim on how to navigate that pretty well. So all of you learn something from each race that you do, and you
Yep.
can take it into these championship races and kind of learn from that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then the bike, I mean, obviously you're probably passing people on the bike when you first got on.
yeah,
The out and back
yeah.
in town, up Palani, out the Queen K, and relatively no wind for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah, going out, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I was like, this is fantastic. And then, it's just like, oh, get down an arrow and let's go. And, again, it's like doing Cozumel. I know what that feels like. You
Mhm.
just have to grind it out. You keep your watts in the right place, and you do the best that you can to get through there and um get out safely so you can get back on the run. That's how
Right.
my mindset works.
Right, right. So the climb to Palani, was that an issue at all? I mean, you've done a lot of strength work this year and a lot of big gear stuff on the bike. So was that a
um
challenge or seemed to be okay?
I was actually very okay. I was comfortable on the bike and I was good
Yep.
and had no problem. Yeah,
Good, good. And then
felt
so
strong.
nutrition was solid the whole way, right? Seemed to stick to your
Yeah, the
plan.
nutrition was solid on the bike. Had some stomach issues on the run, so that's always been my downfall on the run.
Yep,
So someday we'll figure that part out,
yep,
so that I will not get sick on the run. But you know what? Again, you navigate it the best you can. And I started, once that came on, and with my Achilles, I just started to. I wanted to play it smart. So at the
hmm,
beginning, walking uphill,
yep,
doing the things that I knew I could control. So later on in the race, that I didn't have a complete meltdown. So if that meant walking the aid stations,
right.
trying to figure out how to manage that the best I could, because it is pretty much on the run. It's an uphill from mile 7 to 14
Yeah,
ish.
yeah.
It's not a severe uphill, but it's an
No, it's all
uphill. So
gradual
you
uphill
just
for
have to
sure.
manage it. And I was just trying to balance that with making sure my Achilles was in a good place. And I think I did that to the best of my ability because it was going to be what it's going to be, and I tried to run as smart as I could on that.
Right. What was your
So
plan on the run? Was it just walk the hills, run the downhills, or was it 3 on, 3 off, or what was?
it just kind of it was dictated on my body. And when I knew
Yep.
I could run, I would run. And funny enough, is my stomach was just after mile 10 was just
Mm,
not doing well, and so which is not an unfamiliar thing to me. So I'm like,
yeah.
okay, solutions. I look at the table and figure out what I can do. So I started taking broth, which they had out there, which was pretty much the only thing that sounded good. So I would do water and then broth,
Hmm.
and then I came to life. So Energy Lab was the
Good.
best portion of my run, really, where I just kind of started really going to town, and I could hit my paces again. I felt
Yeah.
great. And then I came out around mile 18, 19 ish,
Yep.
and the aid station had no more broth. They were in between.
Oh,
So uh, everyone around me started going, run for soup. And so I just took off. So we all just were going to the next aid station trying to find the next broth that was available. So
Oh,
after that, I think just missing that, it really kind of made a difference. I just couldn't quite get back onto my nutrition. And,
right.
you know, it happens. You do the best that you
Totally.
can and try to figure out solutions. And sometimes there isn't a solution and you have to suck it up and try to figure out how to get to the finish line. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's just kind of what happened. And then as soon as you start hearing people start yelling, then you immediately come back to life to want to, I'm like, I am finishing this thing. No one's going to stop
Right.
me. I'm getting the medal. So,
Right.
that was
Did
fun.
you get the big quad burn going down Palani?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm like, my legs are a little bit shot at that point. So I was going, oh no, no.
Right.
But you just get so much energy from the
Yeah.
crowd and people yelling and screaming at every language. And it's just,
Yeah.
it was so cool. So
The crowd is amazing, you know, when you start coming down Palani and then toward the finish, it's so packed with people.
yeah.
You know, especially going out and back, right? And then
Yeah.
that lonely stretch on the Queen K before you turn into the energy lab.
And it's very
lonely.
lonely and very dark. I don't
Yeah.
know if I've quite, I run in the morning before the sun comes up, and I don't know if I've experienced darkness quite on that level before, but it gets very lonely, but you know.
Right. Like the sun is literally at the other side of the world at that point. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
from the sun.
It's very, very dark. So,
Right. That's
but
awesome.
yeah, it was an absolute blast. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. And you want to go back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Anything else you want to add about your training or, you know, tips for people that are trying to qualify and haven't done it in a long time and, you know, they keep trying, but they run up against things and.
I would say tips to just stay at it. You know, I just think, I know it sounds trite, but it's like you learn something every time you go out there. You figure out new solutions to things that maybe, you know, you need to work on for the next one. And push yourself, go to that place where, you know, like set a goal, dream big and go after it. But I think that you take all that experience that you have from every single session that you do, trust your coach. You know, I feel like if I do the work, I can't look back and say, oh, woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know, you got to
Right.
go all in, go for it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean the end of the world. There's another race out there. So sign up for something else. And maybe, you know, I took 2 years to, during COVID, and I quote, dropped down to the 70.3 distance, worked on things that I needed to work on. And then I went back up and I kind of put all those pieces together and then really made it happen. And so all that stuff kind of came to play, and you just have to keep at it. And it will happen. You just have to like have that mindset that it's, you know, take care of business and go for it. So, and get a good coach.
I love it. I love it. Thanks. All right. Well, it was great talking. Really
Thanks.
appreciate the time, and this has been great. And you're such an inspiration. And I just the positive attitude just blows me away. And that's the one thing I can say, that all the bumps and bruises you went through this year, I never got an email that was negative or I can't do that. It was just amazing. I was like, oh, here it comes. I mean, you can only take so many body punches, you know. And
No, I just think you have to just keep at it, because there's no sense in thinking of the bad. Is you have to, I mean, and there is, it's not all roses all the time, but you really do have to kind of think of what you can do in all caps. And it's super important in this long course racing. So
yeah, I mean, you know, in one way, the way I always frame it in my mind are, what are my choices here, right? Like,
yeah,
not finish, like that's not a choice, right? So I got to keep going. I got to keep plugging away, and I got to keep figuring it out.
You can wallow in it. You can feel
Yeah.
bad for yourself, or you can, you know, keep on and figure out, okay, I got to get this done, and we're going to do this. And, you know, I always sit there, and my husband laughs at me because I talk to myself all the time when I'm on my indoor trainer. It's like, you got this. And it's just like, you're so crazy. It just helps me, because that's just like, if no one's there, I got to motivate myself, and I got to just like figure out what I can do. So,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's why I love this sport, and I love just like testing my limits and seeing what's possible. So
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thanks for chatting.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Trust the Process. If you have a question on anything related to triathlon, please send me an email at mike@d3multisport.com. We'd love to hear from you. Make it a great day.